This video on its own will be helpful to you, but what will really make it helpful for you and make it come to life and be real is the free, simple goal setting tool that I will be providing to you on some link somewhere around this video. And that is what you're going to use in a very easy, simple, user-friendly way to identify and document what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So look for that link, download the tool, and let's get started on talking about what. All right, everybody, if you are watching this, somehow, some way, you made it through 2020. It has been a difficult one, we all know that. But in spite of that, if you're watching this, you found a way to make it through to this point. And that was without a plan. None of us planned for what we were confronted with this year. And yet, here we are. Now imagine for a moment if you actually took a few moments to strategize and plan for what you want for yourself in 2021. What might next year look like? This video is going to provide you with a quick, easy, and effective way to strategize for 2021 so that you can be sitting here a year from now in a much more happy, content, and satisfied place. So, now, before I describe to you 5 simple steps for setting goals, I really want to just talk about some simple themes or simple things to remember as you're setting your goals. Okay. Now, coincidentally enough, the first thing I want to stress to you about this process is that it should not create stress for you. The purpose for this activity is to create clarity and to help you develop a path towards the future that you want. If this is becoming something that is stressing you out or causing you angst or agitation, take a moment, step away, come back to it when you're at a place that you can move forward in a way that is productive and not stressful. That's number 1. Now, to start the process, what you need to do is really start at a high level. Think big about what you want for yourself in the coming year. Who do you want to be? How do you want your career to look? How do you want your relationships to be? Think really high level. Don't get into the weeds yet. Don't get specific. Just think big picture. You're sitting in this seat 1 year, 365 days from now. What does your life ideally look like? That's just what I want you to get that framework in your mind to start with. Start the process by getting that high level framework in your mind. If you have that as your framework, the rest of the process should flow much easier. The next thing that you want to make sure to do is find goals that really challenge you. Now, that doesn't mean that you find things that are so challenging that there's a teeny tiny chance that you'll actually achieve them, but you do want to find things that are going to push your limits a little. If they're not going to be a challenge, they're really maybe not the goals that you want to set. So you have to really think about both sides of the spectrum here. Don't pick something that is so easy and attainable that you know you're going to get to it, but don't pick something that's out of reach, at least for this coming year. Pick something that's kind of towards that out of reach level, but is still attainable. And the last thing to think about in this first phase of the process is to be kind to yourself and be patient. This process should not be stressful for you. This is really a time to be calm, to think inward, to be retrospective from what you've accomplished in the past, and really think about what you want for your future. But it really shouldn't cause you to be anxious or stressed out or beat yourself up because you're having a hard time coming up with the right goals or the right aspirations. Be patient, be kind, and realize that everything here is a process. You're working towards a better future, and you will get there, but be patient and kind with yourself in the process. All right, so now it's time to get into the nuts and bolts of what you will need to do to set your goals for the coming year. Now, first and foremost, you want to make sure that as you're going through this, as you're thinking about what you want to do, you keep in mind that you want your goals to be realistic and you want them to be actionable. You do not want to set goals that are really just lofty, hopeful ideas, and you don't want to set goals that can't be connected to some actions that will actually get you to the accomplishment or the achievement of those goals. As I mentioned previously, the first thing that you want to do is think really at a high level. Who do you want to be in the coming year? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your career to look like? What do you want your relationships to be like? But in this process, use the simple goal setting tool that I'll provide to you to document this. Document your thoughts here. put them down on paper, and let's start to memorialize where you're going in this process. Now, once you have your high level thoughts down and you know in a very general sense what you want for yourself in the coming year, it's time to identify the actual goals that you'll set to get to that high level aspiration that you have for yourself. So in this process, identify no more than 3 goals that you would like to set for yourself. And when I say no more than 3 goals, I personally think that 3 goals is a very realistic and healthy number of goals to work with as you go through the coming year. Anything less than 3 may be not aspirational enough to change your life in the way that you would like it to be. And more than 3 can become a distraction or even overwhelming and get you off track and have you by the 2nd or 3rd month just losing focus on the goals that you had for the coming year. Now, of course, as social workers or counselors or therapists, we're familiar with using the concept of SMART goals with our clients. And really, that's the same thing that we want to consider for ourselves as we set our goals for the coming year. Now, just in case you're not yet familiar with SMART goals, what the acronym SMART stands for is specific, making sure that your goals are specific, not some general kind of wide open statement, but a specific statement about what that goal is that you want to achieve. Measurable, so that you can, throughout the year, assess whether or not you're making progress towards that goal. If there's no way to measure your progress in your specific goal that you set, you'll never really know if you're making progress or need to adjust along the way. Achievable, make sure that your goal is achievable. As I talked about, you don't want to set a goal that's so out of reach that you'll never get there and you basically set yourself up for failure. Realistic, make sure it's something that you can do. It's realistic for you, given your place in life, your situation, your whatever it may be, whatever the factors are that are your reality, make sure that that realistic view on life is incorporated into the goals that you set for yourself. And finally, T for timely. Make sure that you give yourself time for the parts of this process that you need to give yourself, but do give yourself deadlines that you make yourself accountable to so that things don't just drag along throughout the year. You get to the end and you realize you never really got the progress that you wanted because you didn't set timely goals within your big goal or timely guidelines for you to follow to get to where you eventually wanted to be. So again, for those who didn't know, SMART goals are those goals that are specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. That is crucial to how you pick your 3 goals for this coming year. All right, now, in my opinion, this next part is really where the rubber meets the road. It's really where we're going to determine whether or not you have any success in attaining the goals that you set for yourself 365 days from now. The part of this process that I'm referring to is putting in your action steps that align with or correspond with the 3 goals that you set for yourself. So what I suggest as part of the simple goal setting process is for each of the 3 goals that you set for yourself, identify 3 corresponding action steps for each one of those goals. So let's just say, for example, that one of the goals you've set for yourself is to wake up by 7 a.m. 4 times per week in the first 3 months of the year. So ideally, that is a SMART goal, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely for you. Now, in this step, for that goal, you're going to set up 3 action steps that will make sure that you actually get to that goal and don't just wish for that goal to happen. So in this example, those 3 action steps might be as simple as, number 1, planning which of the days of the week you'll wake up before 7. Number 2, putting an alarm on your phone that tells you that it's time to go to bed on those days that you've identified. And number 3, pretty obviously, setting your alarm on your phone or whatever it may be to get you up before 7. So those would be the 3 corresponding action steps to get you towards the goal of waking up before 7 a.m. 4 days per week in the first 3 months of the year. That's kind of how this process works. Setting up your goal, first of all, that is a SMART goal, and then 3 action steps that will get you to that goal. Do this for each of your 3 goals. And again, this can be easily documented on the simple goal setting worksheet that I'll provide for you. All right, this last step of the process is really essential to making sure that you remain accountable to yourself and accountable to those goals and action steps that you've created for yourself. And what I'm talking about is determining the frequency or even the specific dates or times that you'll check in with yourself on your progress. So the work that you've done to think at a high level what you want to be, who you want to be, how you want to be, the work that it took you to determine your 3 SMART goals, the work that it took you to find actions that would get you to those goals, all of that needs to be examined throughout the year in a way that will keep you accountable and keep you progressing towards where you want to be. So it is crucial that you add to your calendar or however you schedule things for yourself, those check-in points throughout the year to look at how you're doing, make modifications as needed, and make sure that you're progressing towards those goals. Without putting these specific steps, actions, and processes into place, it really decreases the likelihood that at the end of the year, you're going to be able to look back and say, I set goals for myself and I achieved those goals. Going through this process is a way to significantly increase the likelihood that you'll be successful. And at the end of the year, 365 days from now, you'll look back and say, I changed, I evolved, I became the person that I wanted to be, and I created the life that I wanted for myself. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and I really do hope you follow these steps and download the tool that I will provide for you to get you through this process, because I want you to be successful in creating the year that you want for yourself.